Hello, this is Kelly Nelson, and I'm really glad that you've been able to join us again today. I can't believe that this is our final workshop. This has been going on for almost 3 months now, and I've I hope you've learned a lot if you've been with me on all of these. I know I've learned a lot just putting it all together, but that's the way it is, right? Again, I want to thank you for joining me. And if you've been with me this whole time, I I really applaud you and I thank you for that too. So we began this workshop series back at the end of May when the days were long and summer felt endless and the year still had so much possibility. And now here we are, a week into August. Wow. The days are already getting shorter. Kids are heading back to school. And just yesterday, we were in Lowe's and saw Halloween displays going up. No kidding, full on Halloween. Wow. And Home Depot, they're teasing their new line of Halloween animatronics like it's the Super Bowl. It's funny and it's also kind of sobering because it means one thing, and that is time is moving fast. The leaves are already starting to turn, or they will be starting to turn soon. The holidays will be here before we know it. And shortly after that, we'll wake up and it'll be January 1st again. So let me ask you something. Where were you on January 1st of this year? What were you hoping to change? Was your Has your health improved? Have your habits shifted? Have you been taking care of yourself consistently and compassionately? Or did you make a quiet promise to yourself back in January? This is the year I get it together. And then life happened. You gave it a week or two, maybe even a solid month, but the momentum faded. The dream slipped quietly into the background. And you told yourself, maybe next year, maybe one day. I know this because it is the story of my life. Now, I'm not asking these questions to make you feel guilty. I'm asking because I know how easy it is to lose yourself in the rhythm of everyone else's needs. We start the year with the best intentions, but then work gets busy, family needs grow, unexpected challenges hit, and little by little, your own well being slips to the bottom of the list. And now here we are, August. Not the start of the year, not quite the end either, but a pivot point. A moment to pause and ask, is the life I'm living right now, the one I move through every day, actually supporting me? Because here's the truth. Most people don't fail because they're lazy or undisciplined or unmotivated. They fail because the systems around them, their habits, their environments, their support structures aren't built for the life they're trying to create. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How to reclaim your rhythm before the rest of the year sweeps away. How to reset your focus by not by overhauling your life, but by making small seasonal shifts that bring your habits and your values back into alignment. Because you still have time. The year isn't over yet. Your story is still being written. And just like the season shift, so can you. So let's talk about something I mention a lot, and that is rhythm. I know I talk about it often, your daily rhythm, your body's rhythm, living in rhythm with the season. But what does that actually mean? And more importantly, why does it matter? Because let's be honest, most of us weren't taught to pay attention to rhythm. We were taught to follow a schedule. Wake up at the same time, work the same hours, eat at noon, sleep by 10, repeat. It's rigid, it's constant, and it's what's expected. But your body was never meant to live that way. You're a living, breathing organism governed by light, energy, hormones, and nature, not a machine. And nature doesn't run on a fixed calendar either. The sun doesn't rise at the same time every day. The moon doesn't follow a 9 to 5. The seasons don't flip like a switch on the 21st of the month. Everything in nature ebbs and flows, and so do you. Your body follows circadian rhythms, a roughly 24-hour cycle that impacts your energy, your mood, your digestion, your sleep, and your focus. But even that's not perfectly fixed. It adjusts to the light. It adjusts to the season. It responds to your environment. In fact, every function in your body is designed to shift with the rhythm of nature. But our society, it demands consistency, it praises productivity, and it leaves no room for fluctuation. We're expected to operate the same way in the heat of summer as we do in the depths of winter. We're told to eat the same way, to work the same way, to sleep the same way every single day. And when we can't, we blame ourselves. We say we're tired because we're lazy. We say we're unfocused because we lack discipline. We say we're falling behind when really we're just out of rhythm. The truth is, the way we live today contradicts the way we're biologically wired. But once you start to notice that, once you start to listen to the signals your body is giving you, you begin to realize it's not that you need to do more. It's that you need to reconnect with the rhythm that's already within you. But before we dive in, I want to pause for a moment and share something personal because it ties directly into what we've been exploring these past 9 weeks. When I first launched this workshop back in May, my goal was simple: to teach what I know, to share the science, the stories, and the tools that can help you build a life that truly supports you. But something shifted early on. I realized this work was just way too important to keep tucked inside my email list. So I made the decision to begin uploading the replays to YouTube so more people could access this message. But here's the truth. We're now in week 10 and only one video is live. And no, it's not perfect. The editing is rough, the lighting isn't ideal, the voice in my head had plenty to say about it. And for a while, I let that voice slow me down. Not because I doubted the message, but because I'm still learning how to unlearn a lifetime of expectations about how we should look, how I should show up, and what ready is supposed to mean. And maybe you know that voice too. Maybe you found yourself hesitating, not because you don't care, but because you care so much and you're afraid it won't be good enough. So I see you, because that's what this entire series has really been about. Not just habits and sleep and willpower, but the much harder work of learning to live in rhythm with what actually supports you. And that doesn't happen overnight. We've spent decades learning how to hustle, perform, and conform to expectations that don't fit who we are. So, of course, it's going to take more than a checklist or a mindset shift to live differently. It takes practice, it takes grace. And yes, it takes starting over again and again. So if you've stumbled, if you've fallen out of rhythm, if your transformation hasn't looked the way you thought it would, welcome to the work. You're not doing it wrong. You're just doing it honestly. So now here we are, nearly 3 months in, not at the end, but at the turn of a season. Now let's talk about what it means to reset your rhythm right now, right where you are. When I keep talking about rhythm, why have I mentioned it in every single workshop, no matter what the topic was? Because whether we're talking about sleep, stress, cravings, energy, or motivation, the root cause almost always comes back to one thing: you're out of rhythm. Your body, your brain, your hormones, your nervous system. All of it is designed to move in sync with something older than our modern world. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. We are biologically designed to live in alignment with the natural rhythms of the earth, and yet most of us don't. We stay up late under artificial light. We wake to alarms instead of sunlight. We sit for hours disconnected from movement and from nature. We eat foods that didn't exist a generation ago. and call it fuel. We scroll past other people's lives instead of being present in our own. And then we wonder, why can't I lose weight? Why can't I sleep? Why don't I have energy anymore? We go to the doctor, we get a pill, maybe two, but no one's asking the most important question. What is your body really trying to tell you? Because symptoms aren't the problem, they're the signal. Excuse me, I've got a fly buzzing around. Weight gain? That's not your body betraying you. That's your body trying to protect you because something in your life feels unsafe or unstable. Fatigue? It's not laziness. It's a red flag that your nervous system is fried, and your energy is being pulled in too many directions. Poor sleep, digestive issues, brain fog. Your body isn't broken, it's overwhelmed. And the solution isn't another band-aid. It's getting back in sync with your biology, your values, and the rhythms that nature already knows. The truth is, your body wants to heal. It wants to regulate. It wants to find balance, but it needs the right conditions. And unfortunately, our society doesn't support that. Modern life has normalized exhaustion, distraction, and disconnection, but that's not normal. It's definitely not sustainable. That's why rhythm matters, because when you're in rhythm, your body knows what to do. Your energy returns, your cravings soften, your mind clears, and your life starts to feel aligned again. And I'm telling you this now, especially if today is your first time here, because it's never too late to reset. You don't need a perfect schedule or a 30-day challenge. You just need to start listening to what your body's trying to tell you all along. I'm not out of control, I'm out of rhythm. And if you can reconnect to that rhythm, everything else becomes possible. Now, how do we know that this is true? Because there are places in the world where people live in rhythm, and they're not just healthier, they're thriving. These places are called the blue zones. Maybe you've heard of them. I've been talking about them throughout this series. They're the 5 regions across the globe where people live the longest, healthiest, and most fulfilling lives. Not because they're obsessed with fitness, not because they've hacked their hormones, and not because they have the perfect morning routine, but because their lifestyle is in alignment with their biology and with the natural rhythms of life. They eat real food. They move throughout the day. They sleep when they're tired. They spend time outside. They connect with their community and they live with purpose. They're not chasing balance, they're living it. And here's the key. They're not doing these things as self-care practices. They're just living. It's built into their environment. It's part of their culture. It's normal. And when we study these communities, places like Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Nicoya, Costa Rica, we see a pattern that science has confirmed again and again. When you live in rhythm, your body knows how to heal. Your inflammation lowers, your sleep deepens, your weight normalizes, your hormones regulate, your energy returns, and your mind feels clear again. It's not because of some magic supplement or strict diet. It's because they're living in sync with how humans are designed to live. Their lifestyles are naturally anti-inflammatory. Their nervous systems are supported, not overstimulated. They're surrounded by community, not comparison. They wake, eat, move, rest, and relate in a way that makes sense biologically, emotionally, and socially. But here's the beautiful part. You don't have to move to a mountaintop in Costa Rica to begin living that way, unless you want to, of course. Because once you understand why their lifestyle works, you can start to design your own version of it right here, right now. You don't have to do it all at once, but you do have to start. And no, that doesn't mean selling everything and moving to Sardinia again, unless you want to. But what it does mean is taking the wisdom we've learned from these communities and asking, how can I bring that into my life, into this culture, this reality, and this season? Because let's be honest, modern life doesn't exactly make it easy. We're pulled in every direction. We're praised for being busy. We're expected to perform, produce, and push, even when we're running on empty. But here's the good news. You don't have to escape society to reclaim your well-being. You just have to live differently within it. And that's what this series has been about from the very beginning. And if you've been with me through these past few weeks, or even if this is your first time here, you've probably noticed a theme. We're not just changing habits, we're redesigning the environments, the routines, and the relationships that shape them. We've talked about how your home can either ground you or overstimulate you. We've explored how movement doesn't have to come from the gym, but can be woven into your daily life. We've looked at how sleep is not a luxury, it's a biological rhythm that impacts every system in your body. We've seen how emotions, when ignored or suppressed, can quietly sabotage your best intentions, and how community, the people around you, can either lift you higher or keep you stuck. We've touched on faith, purpose, boundaries, nutrition, nervous system regulation, not as isolated topics, but as pieces of a bigger puzzle, the puzzle called your life. And here's the beautiful part. When you begin to shift just one piece, your energy, your mindset, your relationships, everything else begins to shift with it. And that's what the blue zones show us. It's not about adding more to your plate. It's about building a lifestyle where the healthy choice is the natural one, where rest isn't earned, it's respected, where food is nourishment, not a numbers game, where movement feels like living, not punishment, where your values, your rhythms, and your actions are finally speaking the same language. But here's the thing. Over the past 9 weeks, we've been doing more than just talking about wellness. We've been building a foundation. Every single week, I gave you 5 action steps, not as a checklist to stress over, but as invitations, small shifts, repeatable rhythms, things that feel doable in real life. In week 1, we looked at the reality of your current lifestyle. What's supporting you and what's been quietly sabotaging your energy? We identified one micro shift to reduce friction and build momentum. In week 2, we stopped relying on willpower and started using structure, simple cues, easy routines, and habit loops that make follow through feel automatic. In week 3, we talked about sleep, not just how to get more of it, but how to design your evenings, your light exposure, your environment, so that your body feels safe enough to rest. In week 4, we addressed emotions, not by stuffing them down or trying to think positive, but by learning how to recognize emotional triggers and create space between the feeling and the habit it used to activate. In week 5, we asked, what would a life that actually supports you look like? Not a Pinterest version, not a hustle culture upgrade, but a life that feels like exhaling. In week 6, we broke down self-sabotage, why you keep falling off track, and how to create a system that holds you through the hard days. In week 7, we aligned your habits with your values, because when your actions don't match what matters most to you, it creates internal resistance and your body feels that dissonance. In week 8, we looked at your home and your environment. We talked about clutter, overstimulation, and how your space might be signaling stress to your nervous system without you even realizing it. There's that fly again. And in week 9, we talked about relationships, connection, and community, and how isolation isn't just painful, it's dangerous to your health. And now here we are, 10 weeks of work, reflection, and micro shifts. 10 weeks of learning how to come back to yourself, not through restriction or hustle, but through rhythm, alignment, and real life tools that work with your biology instead of against it. And maybe you've implemented some of those steps. Maybe you haven't. Maybe today is the first time you're hearing any of this. Either way, it's okay, because the next part is where it all comes together. All of these pieces, they're not just wellness tips, they're part of a larger framework I've quietly been guiding you through week by week. And I didn't create it in a brainstorming session or a business retreat. It came from life, from experience, from hardship, healing, and reflection. After the fire last year, when everything I thought was stable fell away, I had to do some serious soul searching. And as I looked back over the most pivotal moments in my life, the crossroads, the setbacks, the turning points, I realized something. I had always come back to the same internal compass, even before I knew it had a name. This rhythm, this structure, this approach, it's how I rebuilt not just my home, but my sense of self. And it's what inspired my book, because it works, not as a quick fix, not there's a dumb fly, not as a one size fits all solution, but as a steady, flexible guide when everything else feels uncertain. And now, for the first time, I'm going to walk you through it step by step. So, how do you begin to shift your lifestyle gently, sustainably, and in a way that actually sticks? This is the part I've been building towards since week 1. These aren't just action steps. They're the backbone of my coaching, the foundation of my book, and the process I personally lived through, especially in the aftermath of the fire, when everything I thought I knew about safety, stability, and identity got stripped away in a heartbeat. This framework, what I now call the heart method, is what helped me rebuild from the inside out. It's how I now guide other women through their own turning points. And here's what it looks like. It is an acronym. H is for honest evaluation. We start by getting real, not in a harsh, critical way, but with clarity and compassion. What's working? What's not? This isn't about blame or guilt. It's about awareness, about without any shame or denial. It's just about collecting data from your life so that you can make informed choices, not emotional reactions. The E stands for empathy and emotions. We've been taught to ignore our emotions, or worse, to shame ourselves when we fall short. But emotions aren't the enemy, they're information. They're your body's internal compass working alongside your nervous system to guide you toward balance. And when you learn to listen instead of push through, everything gets easier and change becomes sustainable. A is for alignment with your core values. This is one of the most overlooked pieces of wellness. Our entire society, from corporate culture to diet culture, has devalued core values, replacing them with metrics and trends and surface level goals. But when your daily actions conflict with what truly matters to you, you feel it physically, mentally, and emotionally. Real change begins when you stop living from obligation and start living in alignment with your truth. R is for resonant and realistic goals. Forget the go big or go home mindset. Your goals should feel right, not just impressive. They should resonate with the season of your life, your capacity, and your nervous system. This step is about choosing goals that are both meaningful and manageable, so you can actually follow through with them. And T is for transformative habits. This is where the magic happens, not in the big flashy gestures, but in the small, repeated actions you return to daily. When your habits are rooted in rhythm and intention, they don't just change your routine, they reshape your reality. And over time, they become your identity. So let me ask you again, where were you on January 1st? What were you hoping would change? Were you tired of the weight that kept creeping on no matter what you tried? Waking up more exhausted than when you went to bed? Wondering if you'd ever feel like yourself again? Or maybe you were newly retired and suddenly lost the structure you'd relied on for decades. Maybe you were just burned out from years of doing everything for everyone else. Maybe it was a little bit of all of that. And you told yourself, this is the year I finally take care of myself. But here we are. It's August. If nothing has changed, that's not because you failed. It's because the system we live in is broken. We live in a society where chronic stress is normal, where obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and anxiety are rampant. We're told to push harder, sleep less, and ignore what our bodies are trying to say. And yet we've spent the past 10 weeks learning about places in the world where people thrive, where they live longer, move more, eat better, sleep deeply, and they stay connected. Places where they don't struggle with all the things we've been told are just part of aging. Those places exist. They're called the blue zones. And their secret, it's not a magic pill. It's not genetics. It's rhythm, the way they live. Their lifestyle is aligned with nature, not with noise. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. We don't live in a blue zone, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from them. And it doesn't mean we can't reclaim our own lives. By redesigning our habits, our homes, our health, and our sense of purpose. And that's what my 12-week coaching program is all about. It's a guided reset rooted in science, inspired by the blue zones, and designed for real life, your life. So if you're struggling with sleep, weight, motivation, overwhelm, or just the sense that something's missing, that's where we fix it. So what you get with this program is 2 live coaching sessions per week, a private community of like-minded women, weekly tools and action steps that create lasting lifestyle shifts, ongoing support and accountability, and real conversations, not performative, not curated, just real. And this works because I'm not teaching theory, I'm teaching what I've lived. I've been through the fire. I've lost everything. And every time life knocked me down, it was this process, these habits, this rhythm that helped me get back up again. It's priceless. So if you're ready, here's what to do. I'll drop the enrollment link in the chat right now and click that link, get registered, and you'll receive immediate access to your welcome materials. I'll also send you the link to book your bonus session. And if you're still on the fence, if you have a question or just need to talk it through, that's okay. I'm also dropping a second link for a 30-minute clarity call. Just don't wait. The bonus expires Sunday at midnight Pacific, and I'd love to see you inside. You're not starting over. You're starting from here. So let's reset your rhythm together. And now let me get these links in the chat. You know, this is it. This is what it all comes back to. And like I said, this has been my lived experience. I mean, for decades, it's been my lived experience. It just took me really having that honest evaluation after the fire, after my world was shaken deeper than it's ever been shaken before, that, I was finally able to figure out exactly what's going on. We have a question. Is there a way to review the Zooms from past weeks? Yes. Not quite yet, but they're coming. So I mentioned in the beginning of this that I decided to put them on the YouTube channel because I felt like this information was just too important to keep it to a small group of my email list. And so I started trying to work on that, but that's a whole learning curve. I'm not a techie. I'm not a techie at all. And I didn't grow up with a cell phone in my hand like, kids today do. And so trying to get that to where it edited right and it felt right and it flowed right for YouTube is a whole different ball game. And I started learning that, and then I started getting caught up in the weeds from criticizing myself for how I looked or how I sounded or whatever, because we don't sound to others the way we sound to ourselves. So when we hear ourselves, playing back, we start questioning, wow, is that really how I sound? Wow, is that how I look to everybody else? Because we don't watch ourselves, when we're talking, when we're meeting other people. So I got drugged down into the weeds. And then there was the whole editing thing. And then I learned just like the beginning of this week, believe it or not, that there are tools that I can use that can easily edit all this stuff out and make it so much easier to follow, and get rid of the ums and the pauses and the breaks and all the stuff that makes it difficult to listen to. And I will be getting them on in the next couple of days. I know I've promised this a few times before, but I really will be getting some of these on. I do have the first one up there already. It's imperfect. In fact, I have another version. I've done it 3 times now. I have another version that I will be uploading to that, and I'll let you know. It'll all be in the emails and the link to do that. And I'm going to try and get 2 and 3 and 4 up by the end of this weekend. Hopefully. So thank you for your patience, and please have some grace with me because I am learning all of this. It's a learning curve, but that's how we keep stretching ourselves and growing, right? Is through these learning curves. So does anybody have any other questions? You're welcome. Okay, well, if you don't have any other questions, then I will honor your time, and I thank you so much for being here. And please click the link, even if it's just to chat, or if you are ready to get started, and let's do this. Let's make this happen. I know it works because it worked for me. Like I said, it's just been a little over a year ago that my entire world came crashing down on me. It was on May 23rd of last year, and I will never forget that moment and how I felt. And it required a lot of inner soul searching, and here I am. So it does work. We can change. We can start over, and it does work. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And watch the emails because I will have them out, and I will take a few weeks maybe to take a break, and then probably do some more live stuff again. So thank you again, and God bless you. Bye-bye.